It is time for The One Thing, where we ask one thing of a figure that may revolve around the Walt Disney Company, and this figure that we're going to ask one thing of happens to be the man himself that started it all. No, not Mickey Mouse, but the man behind the mouse. If you had an opportunity to ask Walt Disney, the founder of the Walt Disney Company, if you had an opportunity to ask Walt Disney one question about anything past or present, what would it be? We would absolutely love to hear what is on your list of questions that you would ask Walt Disney. However, we're just looking for one. So if you have one question for Walt, what will it be? Katrina, let's start with you. You have an opportunity to sit down. We unfroze his head for you.
Okay.
You know, we dug him up from his churning in the grave that we hear he does so often, even though he was cremated. And we bring him back to you for one question. What are you going to ask Walt Disney?
Okay. Mr. Walt Disney.
Mr. Walt Disney. Walter Elias.
Walter E. Disney. Are you happy with how the business is being run right now?
What do you think he's going to say?
I'm going to say no, he's not happy.
I'd be interested to hear what he thinks about the business myself. I know that 1955 and even 1966 when he passed. 1955, obviously, when Disneyland first opened. 1966 when Walt Disney passed away. You know, that's something that feels like multiple lifetimes ago, you know, from this era, and everything was so different for him and for his organization, and Disney has become this juggernaut, this, you know, mega powerhouse, international media company, biggest media company in the world. And to know all the iterations of Disney over the course of decades and how things have progressed and become so big, I think that's a terrific question to ask him. And maybe, you know, after his head thaws out a little bit and is all done being unfrozen,
I think it would be a while because of brain freeze and stuff. So I think he needs to like adjust with like what's going on with the times. But
yeah. Give him a week or so.
Yeah, he needs to like watch like a video and stuff of like what's going on in the evolution of what happened in the company for him to be like, what have I done?
Get all caught up. I should have lived longer. This is what the hell happened? Yeah. Well, we asked you over at the Kingdom Report YouTube page on the community tab what one question you had for Walt Disney. Here are just some of them. D. McGee says, I would certainly ask what he thinks about the guest experience being sacrificed for the sake of profit. Steven says, did you ever think it was going to be this big of a company? Question, because no doubt Walt probably had very big dreams, very big ideas as to what he wanted his company to become, but did he ever possibly imagine it was going to become what it is now? 1-6 says, no questions. I would just like to say thank you. Maybe take a walk down Main Street with him and share how much of a success Disney World turned out to be, especially Epcot. Oh, and tell him how much of a success Disney World turned out to be, especially Epcot. Okay, please fire Bob Chapek. Will you please? Well, they say paycheck. Okay, please fire Bob Paycheck. Cody says, what's your favorite kind of pizza, Walt? That would be his one question. Scary says, how do we get today's parks back on course to realign with your original vision? I like that. Certainly Walt had a very particular vision for his parks, and I often wonder what it would have been like had Walt been able to open and be a part of Walt Disney World and the Magic Kingdom. You know, had he been there, say the first, year or two of operation, how different would Walt Disney World be even today just by having his presence there? Obviously, we felt the presence of his brother Roy, who wanted to retire when Walt passed away, however, stayed on to see through the Walt Disney World project to make sure Magic Kingdom got opened up, and then he retired and then subsequently passed away. So Tyler, you have a shot at asking the churning in his grave man one question, past or present. What are you going to throw out the guy?
I thought about this one a lot. There's so many questions that, of course, everybody would want to ask him, and there's a lot of obvious things like, I don't know, how do you feel about Bob Chapek and things like that. But I'm really curious how he would feel about the way that Epcot came to be. I think that'd be a really interesting thing to talk to him about, because obviously everybody knows that experimental prototype City of Tomorrow is what that stands for. All of us know that, right? And it was originally supposed to be an actual city where there was going to be people working there, and it, you know, kind of like Golden Oaks, I guess, but probably more affordable, I suppose. But it just seemed like it was a really out there idea for some guy that wanted to build some theme parks, you know, and made some cartoons.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm really curious to know how he would think of how Epcot has come along. Also, I would like to know, this is kind of just a throwaway question, I guess, but does the chili at Carnation Cafe actually taste like the chili that he used to love so much?
Walt's Chili at Carnation Cafe?
Like,
yeah.
or is it, or are we just saying Walt's Chili and just like, you know, is that really the recipe he used to snack on? Did you used to get down on that chili, Walt? I really need to know.
There would be no beef in Walt's Chili because
Yeah.
that was too expensive. Back in the day, it would just be probably beans.
No, I think that's all Walt Disney ever ate. He ate cigarettes and
Ate
beef.
cigarettes?
Yeah.
Oh, ugh.
You know, it's airbrushed in almost every photo of him at the park. That's the reason for the real two-finger point, is because most of the time there was a cigarette in there. So they airbrush it out of
I
most
always
of the
love seeing the
images.
one at Steakhouse 55 when you walk in because you just like,
Yeah. Yeah, why is he standing there like this? That's weird, huh? Yeah.
so random. Anyway.
Brushed out. And I'll tell you, from my perspective, I've always wanted to, because I've thought about this too, like, oh boy, if I ever had an opportunity to talk to the guy, what would I ask him? And there are, you know, continued sort of reports over the years from people that were close to Walt and from people that heard from individuals who were able to drop in by his bedside as he was passing away, that he sort of just kept trying to spew out all these different things that he wanted to have happen. And he was talking to Roy and sharing all these things that he wanted to make sure Roy understood, because he knew his time was running out very shortly. And with that in mind, I've always wanted to ask him the question, if you had one more year, what do you think you would have accomplished? Because he had so many irons in the fire at that time. He had so much happening. He had just laid out Epcot. He had just laid out the whole concept. He had just pitched it all. He had just gotten everything approved. He had just pushed this entire concept through, knowing his time was running out and definitely feeling that presence of tick-tock, tick-tock. If he knew he had 1 year extra, what would he have accomplished? What would he have sort of hammered out and made happen? Because I think if he had one more year, boy,
There'd be a big difference.
Boy,
no one
imagine
would've
what Walt
slept with
Disney
Under
World would have
working
been
with
like.
him.
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, because I mean, Magic Kingdom is completely the corporate version of Disneyland. Like, that's exactly what it is. And, you know, you can tell that, unfortunately, you know, Roy Disney did a great job overall, but you can tell that the heart was kind of taken out of Disney World, at least the beginnings of Disney World, you know.
Even though they call it Walt Disney World,
Yeah.
you still feel the heart of Walt at Disneyland,
Right.
which is why I think so many people have an affinity for Disneyland over Disney World, because you feel Walt there still. You know, you feel that he walked through this place, you feel his charm, you feel his heart in a location that he did spend 10 years in before he passed away. Whereas a place like Disney World, he may have walked through the swamplands, you know, he may have walked through some of that space originally, but he never got to see anything completed by the time it opened up. So, yeah, good one. We also turn it back over to you over at our community page on the Kingdom Report YouTube channel. Here's what you said. Jackie says, well, I know not to ask about guest satisfaction because he was actually all about that. I would instead ask about how he feels with the social changes and how Epcot was never realized. Sort of what you said there, Tyler. Margaret says, Walt, I know you love innovation. How would you like to take a trip to outer space on the Bezos rocket? Would you go?
Oh, he would definitely
yeah,
go.
he
He
would've
would
gone.
100% go.
I bet he would have had a rocket had he been able to live
He would have
on.
made his own.
Yeah. He
would've
would have
found a
been
way.
Jeff Bezos.
Yeah.
Yeah. Or, you know what I'm saying. He would have beaten Jeff Bezos to it.
Yeah.
For sure.
He would have cut him off at the pass, found a
Yeah.
way. Yeah. Walt was so engaged in the concept of space and flight and
Transportation in general.
loved it.
Yeah.
You know, and had so many attractions dedicated to it and everything. And no doubt, I think you're right. He would have probably beat anybody, any corporate giant, any
Yeah.
mega executive
If-
to doing it.
Yeah, and if you think about it, Tomorrowland is basically all about transportation. Like every single piece of it is about some type of how transportation could be better someday. That was all he thought about, that guy. And I think that was like one of his favorite lands, like in general. You
Yeah.
know? So
And look at it now.
yeah. Ooh. That's why Tomorrowland is so heartbreaking, because of what it was supposed to be and what
Right.
it is now. But anyway.
Ouch. Well, we move along. Juan says, I would ask something about the present. Why has the company become full of greed and given up on the Disney dream feeling it once had?
Yes,
the
Juan.
dream/feeling it once had. I don't disagree, Juan. I do not disagree at all. I feel like that's a great question to be asking. Brian says, what gave you the courage to head west with nothing but an idea and a simple cartoon mouse? You want to talk about a suitcase and a dream. They have that Newsies type show at California Adventure for the first couple of years after relaunch, and I've often wondered that myself. You know, you really bank everything on going out west, and you know your life's going to change, and you had basically nothing at that point, and look at what you made out of it. You know, what really pushed you over the edge to go, this is what I need to do right now.
Chili.
Chili.
That's what helped him.
West Coast chili apparently made all the difference to him.
Beefy.
That'll get me out there. Yeah. Pookie says, I would ask, what are you most disappointed with? Ooh, I wonder how long that list might be. Parker says, what is best about yourself? I like that. I bet Walt is quite a tough critic on himself. I would imagine he probably would have a very hard time with that.
He seems like the kind of man that would just want to continue improving all the time. Like,
Yeah.
that seems like, and he wanted to push his team to keep improving all the time. Like that was what he dreamed about. You know, he wasn't about the money so much. It seemed like, and I feel like Roy. I mean, that guy had a hell of a job just trying to reel that guy in for sure. You know,
Navigate the waters logistically and
Yeah.
financially.
Yeah.
That's right. And finally, Abby says, will you please haunt Chapek? What a
Abby.
question. Oh, Abby. And we want to thank you all for submitting your questions again over at the Kingdom Report YouTube community page. As always, we have polls up there consistently. We also have questions just like this. So if you want to contribute to future segments, you can do so there. And if you'd like to add your question, your one question for Walt Disney, we encourage you to do it in our comments section so we can hear from you. We appreciate that.
To all who come to this happy place, welcome.